How many times have we heard the phrase, they're a sleeping giant? Well, somebody is waking up.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every single day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you want to get your podcast, the show is always free. And you know, this show always appreciates your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Before Pete Carroll made the rest of the country fear USC football again, the Trojans were literally called, they're a sleeping giant. Don't wake them up. We know what they're capable of doing. Well, it was always, once USC finds the right guy, wake them up. He'll get the job done. Pete was obviously that guy. But since then, since he left, that giant that was known as USC football, they got chopped down at the knees, starting with the NCAA. We know about that story. And then USC felt, well, you know what? They didn't do a good enough job. We'll continue with some poor decisions. And, you know, during that whole rehab, the giant is trying to get back up on its feet, stand on its own 2 feet again, prove that, hey, you know what? We can do it again. Bad decisions were being made during rehab, so to speak. They fell, I don't know, maybe the giant fell into a coma. Eventually, Lincoln Riley was hired. USC opened their eyes, realized, hey, where are we at? What are we doing? They figured it out. Once Lincoln Riley got hired, the giant was waking up again. When USC and Lincoln Riley got together, figured it out, all of a sudden USC's got 11 wins, got another Heisman Trophy in the trophy case. They're scoring a lot of points. But still, it didn't feel like USC was back to being USC just quite yet. You could see that, hey, it's a pretty strong team, but that big guy over there, he's missing something. We're not sure if he's tough enough. We know he can throw some punches. Can he take a punch? We found out the following year that Lincoln Riley's team had a glass jaw. There were still some bad decisions being made. There was still one more thing that needed to be done. Okay. If you wanted to get that sleeping giant completely healthy back into shape, you had to make a pretty drastic decision. All about the wellness of the team, for the program. Do you know what happens when a starfish loses one of its limbs? Yeah. First of all, if necessary, if it's in a battle, they'll remove the limb themselves to fight another day. Well, what a starfish, when they lose a limb, they've got these really, incredible reproductive, regenerating powers that allows them to grow back a limb. Coach Riley had to amputate one of his limbs. You had to get rid of Alex Grinch. I hate to put in such crude terms, so I'm trying to make an analogy. I'm trying to drive this point home. You had to get rid of a bad leg, defensive coordinator, so you could grow back your defensive legs. Welcome, D'Anton Lynn. And all of a sudden, not even a full year later, USC is starting to look like the old USC. That giant, he's starting to flex, starting to feel good. Other teams can hear him when they're coming. Following Tuesday's practice, Coach Riley was asked if the defensive staff, was it even better than he, finger quotes, expected? Coach Riley responded this way: my expectations were pretty high. I knew that they were great individually. He's referring to the coaches. So the question would be, how would they come together? Close the quote. I think you, me, everyone who's been watching, we know the answer. And Coach D'Anton Lynn He's literally regenerated USC's defensive legs. There you go. USC got rid of one, and it started growing, and look how strong USC's defense looks right now. I know it's only been a couple of games, but let's build off of that. Let's continue to watch this USC starfish regenerate itself. Let's continue to watch the sleeping giant fully awake. And that means playing offense, playing defense, doing what's necessary. All of a sudden, USC can walk. It can talk. It can tackle on defense. I think Coach Riley knew he had a good thing, right? Back in the spring, just to remind everybody, Coach Lynn, he talked about it. He said when he came to USC, he inherited better talent than what he had over at UCLA. That was interesting when you hear that, because you think, you know what? Well, UCLA had a pretty damn good defense last year, one of the best in the country. Number 2 rushing defense. I think top 11 overall, especially up front. They were so stout. Great run defense, and they were getting pressure on the quarterback. Liatu Latu, really came into his own last year. So no, Coach Riley wasn't surprised. He was anticipating this thing. He saw it happen against his team, and now he saw the progress through spring camp, the offseason, through fall camp, and where we're at now. But what about Coach Lynn? What has surprised him so far? After practice Wednesday, he said, no, he wasn't surprised. No, the guys, like I said, they had a really good offseason. It was good to see them to be able to put it on display in actual games. There's still a lot of stuff to correct, but all the stuff we've seen so far, we have not been surprised. All right. I'm not going to question the staff, especially the defensive staff. Everything they said that they were going to do, it's come to fruition. Until I see something happen that wasn't supposed to happen, hands off. You guys, you keep it going. I'm good. I think the fans are too. I think if there is a concern, we're going to start finding out as the season goes along. Right, we've got the bye week. They travel to Michigan the following weekend after this weekend. My concern is this: as USC starts to, I guess, put more stuff on film, show their scheme, how they disguise things. Obviously the opposition is going to start making some adjustments on offense as well, try and out-scheme USC. Here's the question: does it matter? I mean, Coach Lynn's defense at UCLA actually got better last year as the season went along. Pardon me. Why would that change in 2024? Why? I mean, Coach Lynn talks about, how he's a student of Gus Bradley from the NFL. And he also comes from the Wink Martindale coaching tree up there in Baltimore. Those two defensive coordinators at that level, really good. Everybody's trying to emulate what they do. Coach Lynn gets a ton of credit for, how he simplifies things, for the players, and how the players talk about it. He just makes it really easy for them to understand, to kind of digest what they're being taught, and it just, once they hit the field, they execute like they've been doing it forever. Coach Lynn gives all of that credit for the way he teaches to Gus Bradley. Both of them kind of overlapped. They coached together for a year with the LA Chargers. That's when D'Anton's father, Anthony, was the head coach. That was back in 2017. But that, working with Gus Bradley obviously made an impact on Lynn in that one season. Oh, and by the way, both of them worked with Coach Eric Henderson that same year. Full circle. D'Anton Lynn brought Eric Henderson onto USC staff. This is what Coach had to say about Gus Bradley. He's the best teacher I've been around. And before I worked with him, I didn't think about teaching and coaching hand in hand, but I learned a lot the way I teach from him. I think he's the best teacher I've been around. That's high praise. That's really high praise. When you give all that credit to your teacher, that person made an impact on you. I had a couple of teachers in high school. I had a coach who made an impact on me. I understand where Coach Lynn's coming from with that statement. When USC plays Michigan, okay, again, it's coming up a little over a week away now. Another one of Coach Lynn's mentors, I mentioned the name just a second ago, Wink Martindale. He's going to be the defensive coordinator from Michigan. He's going to be the guy who's going to try and outwit and out-scheme Coach Riley on offense. Should be a great chess match. We're going to see how much Coach Lynn knows about Coach Martindale and can kind of anticipate, make sure USC has the advantage. Looking forward to that coaching matchup as much as the guys on the field. That game cannot get here soon enough. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And in eBay Motors, they've got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to a peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many possible top-tier candidates as you can interview. That's why you need to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs isn't just another job board. It's going to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And did you know they have over 1 billion with a B professionals, which makes it the best place to hire? In fact, it's so easy. Businesses, they get a qualified candidate they're going to get one 86% of the time within 24 hours. That's fast. That's good. LinkedIn knows you don't have a lot of time. You're wearing a lot of hats. You just want to find the right guy, and you want to have all the tools necessary to make sure you're hiring the right guy. Well, guess what? LinkedIn, their process, it's intuitive, it's quick and easy, and they even have a feature that helps you write job descriptions. What's going to make that process go even faster? I can't think of one. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So earlier in the week on one of the Locked On USC episodes, go check it out. I kind of called out the wide receivers for, and I'm using my finger quotes, underperforming. In fact, that's the title of the show. Are USC's wide receivers underperforming? It's a rhetorical. Look, I want to make sure that everybody understands. I'm not necessarily saying USC's wide receivers aren't doing their job. I was very specific in that episode that I was talking about a handful of plays where it kind of gave you an impression, hey, you know what? These guys are underperforming. They should be doing a little bit better than what they've done through the first two games. You know, I'm talking about those dropped touchdowns in the red zone. Kyron Hudson had that one against LSU. I mean, it was an easy catch, especially when you consider those one-handers he was making against LSU. By far his easiest catch of the night. Ball just went through both hands, hit him in the face mask. He'll tell you he should have caught the ball. Against Utah State, you had Jacoby Lane dropping one, literally inside the goal line. Zachariah Branch catching it in a flat. He could have walked in for the touchdown. Both of those were they lost focus. That's what it comes down to. They did not look the ball into their hands. They were both ready to celebrate before they secured the ball. That's it. That's what I was talking about, underperforming. And that's okay. You need to call these types of things out, especially the young players. Kyron knows better, but Jacoby and Zachariah, they know better as well. But you can't give them that kind of leash because they're still underclassmen. You got to keep driving hey, you guys haven't really done anything yet. You don't get to celebrate before you're ready to celebrate. So I have a feeling that those two, specifically Jacoby and Zachariah, they've probably been stewing since they dropped those passes, waiting for the next game. So here's my question. Who are going to be two breakout players against Michigan? One from each side of the ball. I think you probably have an idea. I'm picking one of those two guys who I've just been talking about. I'm going with Zachariah Branch on the offensive side of the ball. Excuse me. In the first two games, I've already talked about the receiving. We'll break away from that. But he's actually looked tentative on punt return as well. It's like he's not judging the ball quick enough. There was a couple opportunities where he could return. There's others where he's fair catching the ball. No. I think he's been really focused on cleaning up the little things since the end of the Utah State game. On kickoff return, don't forget, and this really isn't on Zachariah, but he got cracked hard. That can't happen again. I do not want to see Zachariah Branch taking a hit the way he took one. It was a clean shot. Took the ball at the goal line, got to the 17-yard line. That's where he stopped, at the 17-yard line. Don't want to see that again. So as far as catching the ball, playing wide receiver, and they're going to move Zachariah all over the field. You have to. Will Johnson, Michigan's All-American cornerback, he already has half the field locked down. So it's going to be interesting to see how USC game plans this. If you don't throw to Will's side of the field, he can't hurt you. So again, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this chess match plays out. Lincoln Riley moving Zachariah over the field, making sure Will can't be a factor. I know the running backs and the tight ends are back at USC. Thank you. I love boring football. So yeah, that will limit the wide receiver opportunities. But if, let's just say, it's not the running game isn't working because Michigan still has Mason Graham, they still have Kenneth Grant. Let's just say those two guys are giving USC's offensive line a tough time. One or more of those skill guys on the outside they're going to need to go off in this game. I'm picking Branch because he knows he has to be one of the dudes on this team. He's been asked, hey, you need to be more involved. The team has to rely on you. You have to make plays. It was put on his shoulders during the offseason. And Zachariah is not shying away from that. So he had a couple of good games last year, but so far, game 1, game 2, he's yet to take over. Yet he really didn't take over last year, even in the Holiday Bowl. He's had a couple of good games, but we need Zachariah to explode. And I'm talking about wide receiver. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think he's going to finish the game, 5 catches, over 100 yards. He's my breakout player on offense. On the other side of the ball, who do you want to talk about? I think USC's defensive ends, one of those guys needs to bust out, have a huge game, start making a name for himself. So is it going to be Braylon Shelby? Is it going to be Anthony Lucas? Is he going to continue to build on the season he's having so far? I told you how Lucas wants to, I read his quote, I think it was on yesterday's episode, how he just wants to create chaos and mayhem all over the opposing offensive lines. I love hearing my defensive players say chaos and mayhem. That's all they should say. They should be grunting, blowing snot bubbles, spitting, and saying chaos, mayhem, and then grunting some more. That should be the official language of a USC defensive lineman. I understand what they're saying. After practice Wednesday, veteran defensive lineman Jamil Muhammad said this: "Man, we're just hungry. I just feel like there's nothing better than going after the goal that people say you can't achieve with a group of people that do believe." You heard it. They say they don't hear the outside noise. Right there, he told you. He heard it. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. He knows all the eyes are on those guys. But he also gave some praise to the guys in the defensive line room. And he was really, he feels really special about Braylon Shelby. Quote, his focus. Obviously, he's built like a tree. He's huge. I kind of feel uncomfortable standing next to him sometimes. But yeah, that's my guy. I love Braylon. I love Anthony Lucas. I love the whole defensive line. I love Devin Tompkins, Sam Green, all of my guys. So I'm just excited to see Braylon continue to grow. To be honest, you'll see. I just know he'll go far. That's all I know. Close quote. I understand exactly how Jamil Muhammad feels when he says standing next to Braylon makes you feel uncomfortable. That's why he was one of the first guys off the bus. That's exactly why. When you look at Braylon Shelby, you go like, whoa. Why is there an NFL defensive lineman playing for USC this year? He looks NFL ready. That's what Jamil's referring to. And Braylon's confidence, it's already growing. So, big game, national stage against the national champs. Whew. Imagine having a breakout game. That's all it's going to take for him to start carrying this defense. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a strong defensive interior. You got Bear Alexander. You got Gavin Meyer. You got Kobe Pepe. You got Nate Clifton. And now, all of a sudden, you're bringing pressure and you're creating problems from the edge. Sign me up, please, quickly. What's so great about this? I mentioned Braylon. There are multiple guys who are ready to break out on the defensive side of the ball. You got Braylon Shelby. You got Anthony Lucas. Let me ask you this. Is this the game that Bear Alexander steals the spotlight away from Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant? Could be. I think it should be. Or, does the legend of Gavin Meyer continue to grow? Get familiar with that name. I'm going to talk more about him on another episode of Locked On USC. But Gavin Meyer is quickly becoming everybody on the team's favorite player, as well as the coaching staff's. The dude is a dude. So tell me, guys, ladies, who is your breakout player? Who is ready to break out? Michigan's the next game. Who do you got? I got Zachariah Branch. I got Braylon Shelby and or Anthony Lucas in this game. I'm leaning Shelby just because. I don't mind being wrong. Whoever is the breakout player, as long as USC wins, I don't mind being wrong. Do you like to eat well but not clean up? You like me, you just give me the food, take it away, and I'm done. Well, this is what you need to do. You need to fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of a chef-crafted meals. And they got options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, they got Keto. So if you want to eat well, but you also want to eat healthy, check out Factor's no prep meals. They're fresh, they're never frozen, they're dietitian approved, and they're ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy a nutritious and a great tasting meal too. Make today the day you kickstart your new healthy routine. Don't procrastinate. Start today, right now. In fact, when you're done watching the show, get on over to factorsmeals.com. They have 35 different meal plans. They've got 60 different add-ons you can choose from. Your taste buds will not get bored, I promise. Make your day delicious, from breakfast to dessert, everything. You can stay fueled with easy, nutritious, everything, all of it. You deserve to treat yourself. They've got filet mignon, they've got shrimp, they've got blackened salmon, they've got everything. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. Use code LOCKEDONCollege50, and you're going to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month's order. That's code LOCKEDONCollege50 at factorsmeal.com. Factormeals.com /LOCKEDONCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Factormeals.com. So it's time for my Friday rant. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm still actually, make a little joke. I'm still puffing on this one. I'll pass it around. You tell me how you think about it. The USC Trojans have, and I'm just going to read this. They've signed a revolutionary partnership with a CBD cannabis company called Cookies. I'm sure a lot of you know who I'm talking about. USC has announced a new partnership with Cookies, a popular CBD cannabis and wellness company. Cookies will work with both the Trojans men's and women's basketball and football team. The Trojans are the first school to sign with the company or any CBD company, making them trailblazers for this new endeavor. Do you agree? Do you agree that this is a trailblazing thing to do? This is from Cookies CEO. His name is Burner. I'm not joking. That's his name. Burner, their CEO. Quote, Cookies is thrilled to be a sponsor of USC Athletics for the upcoming 2024-2025 season, said Burner, co-founder and CEO of Cookies. California is our home state, and for Cookies to be involved with the premier athletic program in the oldest private college in the state of California is incredibly exciting for us. We are honored and excited to be a sponsor and Trojan supporters alongside and globally recognized brands. Fight on. Cookies branding will be seen in social media accounts for the teams, as well as exclusive promotional events and tailgate experiences at Trojan events. So, I guess they're going to be handing out samples. Is that what I should take from that? Here's USC's statement on the matter. With the decision to open this category, it was our goal to find the right partner for USC Athletics, and we did just that with Cookies. Cookies is the global leader in CBD, but also an innovative brand deep in lifestyle, culture, and wellness. That's according to Drew DeHart, Vice President, General Manager of USC Sports Properties, a branch of Playfly Sports. Playfly Sports. We are excited for the Trojans to be a leader in collegiate athletics on and off the field, and today's announcement continues to showcase just that. So far, there hasn't been any USC student athlete that's actually signed an NIL agreement with a brand in the CBD genre. But this is where I'm trying to find the balance right now. This is where I'm having my challenge, my issue. Look, beer companies already sell their product on the backs of players who, we're talking about college. They're not old enough to even drink the product yet. So I guess I should probably look at cannabis in the same light. Again, alcohol is legal in all 50 states. Right now, weed is not. So again, I'm not approved. I have no problem if anybody wants to indulge. Do not care. I have no problem with that. But I guess I'm still trying to balance things out. Beer, cannabis companies, Coors, Bud Light, Cookies. Is it all the same now? Again, my problem is this. My issue is this. A lot of players they're not old enough to even use the product yet. Meanwhile, you got USC, a university. When you think about it, most people who are playing for USC football, both basketball teams, they're not 21. I get it. It's part of the culture. Everybody does it now. It's just weird. And I'm really not against it. I'm not for it. I'm like in the middle right now. Like, let me think about that. Yeah, it makes sense. I get it, but I don't know, man. Is marijuana something you really want to associate with athletics? It's not like it, I don't know, it doesn't enhance your performance in that capacity. I understand CBD definitely helps with the wellness part of it, helps with pain. Again, it's just weird. It's a new dynamic, new paradigm. I just gotta, I guess, get used to it. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Did you think about this? Where we were, think about where USC was during the Reggie Bush fiasco. Think about where we are now. Anything goes. Players can make as much money as they want on their name, image, and likeness. Starting next year, the universities are going to start paying the student athletes to be employees. And now you've got marijuana and CBD companies signing marketing agreements with colleges. USC, they're the first. And they're going to have their presence known during game days. All right. I have a feeling we're going to have a popular tent for tailgating. I have a feeling. Have a cookie. Have a brownie. Enjoy a gummy bear. All right. That's it for this episode of Locked on USC. I'm sure they'll all be Cardinal and Gold gummy bears too. Don't worry. Everything will work. All right. I'm done. I will be back with another episode of Locked on USC. I'll be back with another 5. This weekend, USC's off. Bye week. Next week, Michigan. I will be out there. Cannot wait. But until that next episode of Locked on USC, everyone, you know what to do.